I'm David Mason, the Director of Public Health for the town of Sandwich. We're doing PSA number 12 in the second wave, and today, as we usually do, we'll have Chief give us an update on the statistics as far as cases, but we'll also be talking about the COVID vaccine and a number of issues associated with that to let you know where we stand on that. So if you could give us an update, Chief.
Okay, good morning. As of today, 110 active cases. That is down from our last report. 45 hospitalized, 14 in the ICU, which is down from 56 last week and 16 in the ICU. So the trend is both nationally and statewide. Yesterday was one of the lowest numbers of active infections in at least 6 weeks. We are trending downward, which is we're looking for positive news. It's there.
Yeah, because yesterday statewide there was 3,000 and change cases, and I think we've been looking at 4,000, 5,000 plus at that point per day. So that is a good trend down, which was anticipated after the holidays also. And can remain that way as long as people stay vigilant about following the protocols. So so let's have a discussion, Chief, with regards to vaccine. I mean, at this point, vaccine, a limited amount of vaccine had been provided to us, and we were able to do first responders. So what do we have coming up with first responders?
So we were able to get the Upper Cape first responders their first shot the second week of January, and then this aligns with February 8th, 9th, and 10th will be the second round of shots for the Upper Cape first responders, and then we will have them done.
Okay, so just so there's an understanding, the state had reached out at the time as far as being a vaccination site, and we felt, the group in town here felt we could handle the first responders. The chief put together a very good schedule to make it manageable, and so we had committed to a number, and the state provided us that amount of vaccine. And they've provided us, and with that commitment, they provided us the exact number necessary for the second shot at this point.
Correct.
So you'll see activity of that going on in town as we provide that second commitment of shot that they will be delivering for us. At this point, I mean, I know that the state has opened up for the 75 plus group, and the town and multiple town departments were all receiving calls with regards to the availability of vaccine and when we are going to provide vaccinations. And this is where we just need to have a hard discussion on this so people understand. I think there's an expectation, well, and I will say we may have built it up that way also, that we would be providing a level of vaccination in this town because we anticipated receiving the vaccine based on the information we received from the state.
Correct.
I think that's a fair statement to make, and I think we were pretty excited at that fact, and we were confident we could do it based on our past ability to distribute and vaccinate through drive-thrus for the flu clinics. I want to point out, during flu clinics, we control the number of vaccinations we give because we order the flu vaccine. And we purchase it, and it's delivered to us as much as we want, as much as we order. This is a little different scenario. We have no control on this. Do you want to speak a little to what we're seeing for vaccine availability, Chief? Yep.
So just to put some things in perspective, there's approximately 2,000 residents 75 and older. When you incorporate 65 and older, there's roughly 6,000. The amount of vaccines that we've been told by the state we're going to receive per week is 100. Not even close to what we would need to operate an effective vaccination program. You're talking a year and a half, 2 years at that drip rate of vaccines to vaccinate just that subset population.
So with that knowledge that we're providing you, we're being provided a very limited a very limited amount of vaccine. So we have been compiling a list of the state vaccination locations that we're going to make available. It is available on mass.gov/vaccine, but we will be putting a hard copy together that we will be putting out in our social media and that it can even be emailed to you so that you have that readily available to you. So we'll put it out in a number of different sources at this point, just to give you the opportunity to identify a location for receiving a vaccine. As Chief had said, we're only receiving 100 a day. I mean, if the vaccine budget that we've put together doesn't, based on the state's recent announcement, doesn't provide us a lot of opportunity. And in the meetings that we have sat in on and multiple staff in the town, it appears that it's just the volume or the inventory at the federal level has already been exhausted. There was not as much vaccine as was anticipated. And at this point, the state has already distributed 98% of the vaccine it had received. So, which isn't a lot at this point. So I appreciate people's frustrations on this. We share those frustrations. I mean, I feel we're confident that we could distribute easily if we have the proper amount. And we're getting a lot of calls, Chief, from people with comorbidities.
Yep.
So
I think with the comorbidity issue, it can be, I mean, to be frank, I think, A, it's difficult to verify when you're doing a vaccination program, and B, anybody could technically have a comorbidity. And that's not to diminish comorbidities. It's just the reality of, you know, when you're doing a mass vaccination program and you put criteria out there, people will fit themselves into that criteria.
And we're seeing that, and we saw that with H1N1. You know, if people were familiar with that it was the same thing. You know, those with comorbidities, and all of a sudden, everyone had a comorbidity. And again, that's not to say people don't have it. People have them. We are hearing from them. You know, it just becomes the issue again by the state's requests and the meetings we've been involved in. Basically, there's no way to certify comorbidities at this point, other than the word of the individual. And we were told we just need to take the word of the individual when they call.
And the other thing I'll mention, Dave, when we look at the supply, right, I think maybe the strategy, and this is conjecture on my part, the strategy is with the limited amounts, the states are going to funnel it to their vaccine sites and the county sites when those are up and running, leaving us little folks to fend for ourselves. And like you said, we're quite confident we could execute 5,000-6,000 vaccinations. That's not the issue, it's a supply. So it may be that consolidation of resources based on limited supply. That's the target right now that the state's looking to handle. It's difficult, in my opinion, for certain parts of the population, 65 and older, to navigate website registration. That's a tough one. And if you are classifying them as the top of phase 2, and how do you expect them to register if they're not tech savvy? That's not to say all of them are not tech savvy, but you know that has to be taken into consideration. We felt we had a workaround locally for that if we were given the appropriate dosage for the vaccine. And I think that's a frustrating part also for the people to understand. We planned and have been planning for distribution with numbers that were given based on populations that we have and knowing that we could do this. And I feel like we've had the rug pulled out from under us a little bit with our planning that the supply is not there. And I'm not sure where the breakdown is. It's not here. It's not at this level.
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily at the state level. I can't lay blame there, but numbers were given to us, plans were put in place when it came time to deliver. Obviously, 100 vaccine a week is not going to do much.
All right, exactly. So I think at this point, you know, your point is well taken. And again, just so you understand what Chief was saying, you know, what the state has put together for state vaccination sites, they're going to send the inventory of vaccine to support those state sites. Yeah. So what we will provide, as previously stated, is a listing for those state sites, and you can find that listing on mass.gov vaccine. If you go to the state website, you will see it regionally set out with a map, and it identifies all the locations, be it CVS, Walgreens, and vaccine centers that are being set up by the state, such as at Gillette.
Correct. And also we need to emphasize the county also.
Yes.
right? So the fairgrounds is going to be open over the Barnstable County Fairgrounds. That is going to be a vaccine site. Initial estimates on throughputs are between 500 and 700 a day. The Melody tent, which was set up for testing, can be pivoted over to vaccine distribution. Orleans DPW has been a site for first responders. That may continue into phase 2 a couple days a week, but that's also a municipal facility that's operating in the wintertime where they need that facility. So it's difficult for traffic navigation to do that every single day. And then there's locations being scouted out in the Lower Cape at the National Seashore, which is a good time of year to be able to run vaccination clinics out there. So you're going to have this hybrid approach of state, and there will be a state vaccine distribution site, we were told, on the Cape, somewhere in the Mid-Cape area, whether it's the college or whether it's something in Hyannis. They're saying that's coming. You'll have the county sites. It's going to be a slow roll initially. It is difficult when you do all this planning that we have to look at what we're looking at right now, but hopefully the supply increases and everybody that, in these phases will get their vaccine. The other thing I will mention is they are moving the goalpost on phase 1. So we had planned to bang out the majority of phase 1, and then another group has moved into phase 1. So we can't move to phase 2, A, if we don't have the supply, and B, we're still handling phase 1.
Right, right. Such as home caregivers, home caregiver operations, and we're reaching out to those to set them up for clinics tomorrow also.
So just when we think we've achieved a phased level, we have 400 to 500 more people that are thrown into the mix that we're trying to, now they're crossing over with the phase 2 people because registration opened today. And it's a difficult situation to manage. And, you want to provide services to your community and you want to vaccinate your residents. You want it to come from you, make it easy for them, make the sign-up process easy for them. This whole thing is very, very stressful. And, our job, we try to make it as easy as possible, and that's why we worked as hard as we have. But right now, we are in a very difficult position. We're basically a prisoner of the supply chain. And until that loosens up and we get more, this is the game plan we have to put forward as of today. Does it change in 2 weeks? I sure hope so. But I think it's important for people to understand this is what the cards we've been dealt as of today. These are the options and the things that we're going to put out there to start. And it's not optimal at all, and it's very frustrating, but we're going to do our best to at least get that information out. And again, hope that the supply chain loosens up and more vaccine comes down our way.
Okay, so we'll be putting that information out for the state vaccine locations and where they're distributing it to, and you'll be able to go online and register or phone in into some of those facilities. Really, nothing's changed as far as, even if you get that vaccine, you're still following the protocols associated with masking and social distancing. That is still required. That's still required beyond the second shot also at this point until we hear otherwise. So it's not going to, you get vaccinated today, nothing's changed. You're not going over and getting together with your friends. It's still the same arrangement as you see now. I think there's a lot of hope that it would move us into something more normal. Again, just have some patience. Sit tight. You still have to follow through and do what you're doing relative to the protocols. Is there anything else that we have?
No, and I'll just emphasize what you just said. Out of our first clinic, there were 7 people that ended up COVID positive 5 days after their first shot.
Right.
And talking with them, part of it was a relaxation of, I have the first shot, I'm good. That is not the case. It needs to be a second shot. And then after that, you're really looking at 14 days from what I've been told, as at least you have that 95%, if we're talking Moderna, immunity at that point. So just be diligent. We keep saying this. We're almost into February. The cases are going down, and I hope the cases will go down and supply chain for vaccine will go up. And, when we get to springtime and summertime, we're on the back end of this moving forward.
So we don't have the news we want to deliver today. I think we'll wrap up. But what we want to, and our intentions from day one of this too, is delivering the truth as far as what we see it. We're delivering to you the message and the information that we've received and trying to get that out to you so there's no question or curiosity of what's going on. We're supplying the information as it becomes readily available to us, and we will continue to do so.
Dave, do we want to mention real quick about, we've been working with the library staff?
Yes, that's a good point. Go ahead.
So the library staff is pretty much ready to go. We're going to publicize a number where you can call and get information on the vaccine, much like what Dave said about locations of where to get it. And they'll be working out of the Human Services Building, and we will publicize that number, I believe, at some point today. Is that correct, Dave?
That is correct. They'll be going live. We've had the number up on there before, and we'll put it on the screen again for you, and it will be a live person now, taking your questions, providing the information that we can provide you at this time.
Yep.
So I think we'll wrap it up at that point.
Yep.
All right. So again, thank you. Be safe. Have some patience out there, and we'll get it done. And be considerate of everyone around you. Have a good day.
Thank you.